is the role of a leader important in a group?
Yes, I think the leader is important for a group because the leader encourage their team worker and lead the work until the work finished.
Okay, when you say that the leader leads the work, of course the leader leads the work. That's why he's called the leader, or she. But how do they lead the work? What do they do as a leader to lead the work? What's define what they actually do as a leader? Describe it to me. In your again, go think back to your team that you work in the hospital. Who is the leader of your team in the hospital? Are you the leader?
Yeah.
Are you? Are you really? I wasn't expecting that answer. Right. Okay. Okay. So what do you do then when as leader? What how do you get the rest of the team to perform the way you want them to perform?
Give the teamworker their position and decide the priority things. And manage a conflict situation and
Okay. I mean, I think you've got. I think yeah. So you manage the team, or somebody. So a leader manages the team. They make decisions. So you said decide the priorities. So just making decisions is part of leadership. And what was the other thing you said? Okay, you said maybe giving roles to the team members. So you say to somebody, okay, you're going to do this, you're going to do this, you're going to do this, and then you work together in those things. So assigning roles, making decisions, and managing all aspects of the group. All right.
yeah.
Now you know what you do as a leader. Every day.
Almost every day.
Yeah. So if you think back to when you were doing the diving, were you a leader in your diving cleanup, or were you one of just a team member?
I am just a team member because I'm just the advanced scuba diver, and the other team team leader is the teacher.
What, dive
And
teacher?
I'm teacher,
Right.
and the assistant is what is that? Master of
All right.
dives. So I'm just a team member in diving.
Yeah, I was always a team leader. Uh, I didn't have enough experience. So that's another thing that about being the role of leader is experience. In order to be any kind of team leader, you need to have the experience to be able to tell the junior members what they need to do. So it's
Mhm.
important that a leader has experience.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So, oh no, now I've answered part of the next question. I didn't mean to do that. Okay. What personalities should a good leader have? Well,
Mm,
personality is different though. Okay. So what personality should a good leader have?
first of all, uh, I don't know the name of personality. They mm,
Okay. So if you're talking about personality types, remember you've got
I know the name of personality.
yeah,
The meaning of personality, but
yeah.
uh I don't know the exact words.
Okay. Well, I mean, there's many ways of describing it. You could say introvert and extrovert.
Uh-huh.
So if someone's a good leader, do they have to be in either an introvert or an extrovert, or is that not important?
Mm-hmm. Uh, extroverts.
You think extroverts
Are,
make good leaders?
yeah.
Why? So now
Be-
just explain why. Explain why you think an extrovert.
because the leader managing uh, people of diversity, so their personality is very different. So extroverts type more uh, efficiency in a leader. They approach the people more easily.
I sort of agree with you. I think it depends on the situation. And that would be how I would start answering the question. I would say it depends on the situation, uh, what kind of personality a good leader should have. In some situations, an extrovert is a very good idea, or is a very good leader. Um, but I think in there's leading. So if it's an extrovert, they might just say to people, they're very outgoing, and they're very friendly, and they say to me, okay, you do this, you do this, you do this, and they might not really listen to what the other people's strengths and weaknesses are. They just but through their own personality, they just say, you're going to do this, you're going to do this, and then this is how you're going to do it. An introvert would probably take longer to make a decision because they would be much more careful about assigning people to the correct role. So an introvert might not want to just push somebody into doing something. They might want to watch somebody for a while and then say, okay, you're not very good at this, but you are very good at something else. So I'd like you to do that role over there because that's your strength. Whereas I think an extrovert doesn't really worry about it. They just lead through the force of their character. Whereas I think an introvert tends to try and match people to the correct role. So I think it depends on the situation. Sometimes like so if you're talking about the military, if you're talking about the armed forces, like the army or the navy or something like that, I think an extrovert, the leader of a military force, has to be an extrovert
Mhm.
because you've got to get everybody to do things at the same time. So it's a bit sort of like being a dictator. I think there's another way of being a leader, which is that you collaborate with people. You find people's strengths and weaknesses. You listen to what they say, and you get everybody to contribute, and then you say, okay, I've listened to everybody. He's got a good idea. I don't agree with this, but I do agree with this. I think we can use that idea later. And then you bring all the ideas together. That would be more of an introvert's way of doing it. And sometimes that can be a much better thing. So like in politics, often listening to other people to get a wider sense of what's going on, I would say, again, not in every situation, can be a stronger way of doing things. I'm more of an introvert. I prefer to listen to what people have got to say, and I lead by example. So if I'm working very hard and all of my team can see that I'm working hard, I expect them to follow my example. I'm sure you've seen other leaders who've got great personalities and they give everybody the role, and then they just sit back. They just sit back and let everybody do all the work, and they think, yeah, this is it. This is the life. I've got everybody working for me. I really don't like people who don't also, but when they're leading, they don't actually participate as well. And I think sometimes an extrovert is very good at telling everybody else what to do, but maybe they don't really contribute much themselves. Lots of different things that you could say about being a good leader. Leading by example, leading by authority, extrovert, introvert, a cheerful person, a serious person. There's many different kinds of personality, and in different situations, those different personalities can be good or wrong. So it's quite a complicated question. It looks like a simple question, but I think it's quite a complicated question. But you don't have time, so you got to make some quick choices. So I would say introvert, extrovert is an easy choice to make, and then describe how one might be better than the other in your own words, in your own thoughts. Somebody that's always very happy and cheerful, that might be a good personality. Somebody that's very serious, that might be a good person. So in your, if it's in a hospital, if it's in your specialty area, what kind of person is a good leader? Is it somebody that's an extrovert? Are you an extrovert in your leadership, or are you an introvert in your leadership?
I think extroverts. And extroverts is better in hospital because introverts person didn't make the decision because they have a lot of conflict in their mind, and they have many worry. So extroverts is better, I think.
Yeah, and I agree with you, because I mean I would say that probably in nursing is actually very similar to the military. You need someone who makes a decision quickly, and you want the team to move with you quickly. So you don't have time to sit down and say, "Oh, what do you think?" and "What do you think?" and "Oh, I like your idea, but I don't like." You don't have time for it. So it's very similar to the military.
Yeah.
So no, I agree. I think that's probably true. But I think in something like politics or in office work, where I was working with a team of people in an office, we had time. We had plenty of time to have a discussion about things. And even within an office, you will get some teams where there's an extrovert who's just wants everybody to follow them, and you get other leaders who prefer to have everybody agreeing with them and make sure that nobody, if the danger of being a dictator in a small group is that you don't listen to anybody else, and maybe somebody else in the group has got a very good idea that you're not asking them about it, but you're not asking them. Now, it's in your case, everybody's trained, so they all know what they're doing. But if you were in a slightly different situation, it might be that somebody's got a good idea, but if you just say, right, this is what we're going to do, maybe that good idea, you're going to miss out on it. Okay, so in some slightly different situations, maybe a slightly different approach would be better. But yeah, I agree with what you're saying. Yeah.
Also in scuba diving, the radar always extrovert personality. So I think around me, all of the leader is extroverts.
But I mean, okay, but when you go diving, I mean, so each team has two divers. So
Yeah.
from what you got in there, which is normally you've got a buddy system. You got yourself and you got your
Yeah.
buddy, and one person is going to lead the dive, because you can't have two people in the water disagreeing, trying to be the leader. So one person has to lead the dive, just for safety reasons, isn't it? So that makes sense. But in that situation, and what you can do when you're diving is, if you're doing, say, 3 or 4 dives, then you can alternate the leadership in the two people. So on the first dive, you're the leader, and on the second dive, I'm the leader, so that both people get the chance to lead the dive. Is that how you do it in your group?
In my case, the person who has a more diving log,
Experience. Okay. Okay.
experience.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, he or she is a leader. So,
Always. All right. Okay.
always.
When I was doing a lot of diving, we used to alternate it. So because even the junior diver needs to learn how to become a senior diver. So on the first dive, the senior diver will be the leader, but on the next dive they'll say, okay, right, now it's your turn. You show me that you can do the same thing. So okay, can everyone become a leader?
Yes, I think everyone become a leader. Mm.
Now you're having second thoughts, are you?
I have many thoughts in my brain, but I don't know how can I explain the following sentence.
I don't know, because I don't know what you're trying to say. Because as soon as you said that, I was disagreeing with you. In my own mind, I was thinking, I don't think everyone can become a leader. There are some people I've met in my life that I would never follow as a leader. Haven't you ever, like, either when you were at school or university or working, haven't you ever met some people and think, this person's just an idiot? I would not follow this person. Haven't you ever met people like that? Some people just have no idea about leadership. I think they've got no experience, or their personality is just completely wrong for it. So and okay, if you say, can everyone become a leader? Could you take that person and train them to become a leader? I think there are certain things that you can train somebody to do, but I think leadership also requires certain personality traits that we were talking about before, which are actually very difficult to learn. I mean, some people are just never organize. They can never organize themselves, and the thought of them trying to organize other people to do something, I think it's like, they'd be better off on their own. They're better off always being a junior. Haven't you ever met nurses that you think, this nurse is never going to get promoted? She's never going to be a senior nurse, because she's just totally disorganized, or she's always forgetting things, she's always late, or something like that. Maybe a very nice person, but just you can't ever see them being a leader. Haven't you ever met people like that?
But we trained obsessively, train. So the training duration is different from people. some nurse become a leader take 3 years, but the other is take 5 years. So, but they become a leader.
So okay, so is that it takes them 5 years to learn the skills of nursing, or does it take them 5 years to be in a situation where they have the right personality to lead other nurses? Which are the things? Is it nursing skills or is it leadership skills that takes them 5 years?
It mixed nursing skill and based on nursing skill and plus conflict with other departments or other specialists like doctor and the other person in hospital. So manage leadership, learn the leadership after perfect nursing nursing skill, and they learn.
Okay, all right. Well, you've got more confidence in your fellow human beings than I have. There is just some people that I've met in my life. I think this person couldn't lead anything. They and in some cases they might be. It might be because they're very creative people. Maybe they're very artistic people, and they're very good at something else. But in terms of working with a group of other people, they're just no good at working in a group. So maybe they're always having arguments. Maybe their mood, maybe 1 minute they're happy, the next minute they're always arguing with people, then they're happy again. And I think for a leader, I think having a personality that goes up and down, whether they're happy or unhappy or something, I think that's something that I think a leader needs to be pretty much level all the time, so that the people who are underneath know that they can speak to the leader at any time and get a sensible response. I think if somebody's personality is going like that, and you think, oh, today, no, I better not talk to them today, they're in a very bad mood, I think that's a bad leader. I think some people's moods change very, very quickly, or they have a good day and a bad day all the time, or a good week and a bad week. I think that's a bad leader. I think, but maybe in some other situation, if they're working on their own, maybe that's all right. Maybe if they're not affecting other people, it doesn't matter. But I think if you've got a group of people working under you, I would say that you need to be sort of fairly level all the time. So I personally, it's okay. It doesn't matter. I mean, the point of these part 3 questions is not about whether you're right or wrong or I'm right or wrong. It's about a discussion. Okay, so that remember, always have in your mind, if I disagree with you, I'm not saying your answer's wrong. I'm just giving you another point of view, because then you can think about both sides of the discussion. And the examiner could well do the same thing. If you say yes, anyone can become a good leader, the examiner might well say, I don't think so. And then you've either got to say, well, maybe the examiner's right, or you can say, well, I disagree because, and then you come up with another reason to defend your answer. Okay, so part 3 is a discussion, and the examiner quite often will take the opposite point of view. So you don't need to worry about it. It's just a question of, okay, how am I going to cope with the examiner taking the other point of view? I've got to come up with another reason why I think I'm right, or I can agree with the examiner. Sometimes very often you could say, well, it depends. Sometimes it's like this, and sometimes it's like that, and then you can find your way out of the situation. So it's strategies. The strategy of managing the conversation, the discussion is important. Okay, let's have a look at some new part 1 questions. So, borrowing and lending. Have you borrowed books from others?
Yes, I have. When I was a university student, I borrowed some nursing books from my friends.
Okay, is that the end of your answer? Okay, all right. Okay, so this is where intonation in your speech is important. You know about intonation?
Yeah.
Okay, so if you end as you did, I'm waiting because you haven't finished off the sentence by bringing
Uh-huh.
the tone of your voice down. So I was thinking, is there more to come? No, there's not. Okay, eventually I decided there was no more to come in your answer. So intonation is important. That's why intonation is important, because at that point the other person realizes that you've finished what you're going to say. So like now my voice has come down and I've slowed
Mm.
down and I've come to a stop, and you know that I've finished what I'm going to say. Yeah. I know it's difficult. It's difficult because it's probably different in Korean. You have different intonation, but just listen. You know, when listen to my intonation when I'm speaking, and try and adopt it as much as you can, and then you won't have
Mhm.
these 5-second gaps when the examiner's thinking, is she finished or is she still thinking about what she's saying? Yeah. Right. Have you ever borrowed money from others?
Yes, I have. 1 year ago, I borrowed some money from my mother to buy a secondary car, and now I uh, paid her
Repaid.
all return repaid.
Repaid. Yeah.
Mm. I repaid all money to my mother.
Okay. Good. Okay. Do you like to lend things to others?
Mm, no, I don't like lend thing to others because I don't. Uh, I'm very careful for my things, but someone uh, didn't care the lend things.
Okay. So you would be careful. Okay. Uh, no, you said I don't like lend things to others. That was the start. Okay. I don't like lend things. So it's I don't like to lend things.
I don't like
To lend things.
to lend things.
Yeah. To others. Okay. So then you said about you take a lot of care of your things. Okay, that's all right. Then the last sentence was a bit of a mess. Okay, so uh, so so okay, so you could say I'm worried. I'm worried that other people might not take good care of my things. So,
Mm,
or they might not take care of the things that I lend to them. Okay, so I'm worried or I'm concerned that other people might not take good care of my things is the easiest way of saying it. Yeah.
might not to good care.
Might not take good care.
Might
Take
not
good care.
take a good care.
Yeah. Of my things.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. What about, so does that depend on, is that with everything or is that just with expensive items?
Just expensive item
Okay.
like electronic pads, cell phone.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, this question may have been when we did our classes before. This question, a lot of these questions, they had them 6 months ago, 12 months ago, 18 months ago, and then they drop them, and then they bring them back, and then they're slightly different. I think this when we did our classes before, there were some similar questions. I think the first two were probably similar questions. I think maybe the next two were slightly different. Because I think they said which things don't you like to lend to other people was one of the questions that we had before, which we may have we may have done previously.
Mm.
So, and I think the answer was cell phone, and I think the answer would probably be not just because. I think the answer would be because you've got a lot of private things on your cell phone, maybe your photographs, your telephone numbers, your contacts or something. So you wouldn't want to lend a cell phone to somebody else because of all the private information on there, banking information. Who knows? There could be all sorts of things on there. How do you feel when people don't return things that they borrowed from you?
I frustrated to the person because they lose their trust.
Yep. Finished? Okay, all right. So I was just getting down what you were saying there. So you said I frustrated the person. So it should be okay. I would be frustrated with you could say with people or with a person, No, let's change it altogether. Let's say with someone. I would be frustrated with someone who didn't things. Okay, so that would be the first part would be like that. I would be sorry, that should be frustrated. I would be frustrated with someone who didn't return my things. And then you said they lose their trust. Okay, because I would lose my trust in them. Okay, so try and keep the language simple. One of the things about IELTS, did I send you some links over the weekend?
YouTube channel.
The YouTube channel. Did I send you that?
Yeah.
Okay. Did you watch any of those links? No, actually, I didn't. Actually, over the weekend, I looked at some more things. Did I? Or was it last week? Was it last week I sent you something?
Below the table, you send the
right. Yes. Okay. But there was something else that I saw over the weekend. And where are we there? In terms, and it was the same channel. It was IELTS Advantage, and the guy was talking to 3 examiners, and he was asking them what are the things that students believe because they've been told by somebody, but which aren't true. And one of that they all agreed on, 3 examiners and a teacher, they all agreed that the important things about speaking is keeping the language simple, not trying to use high academic language, because they say that's the mistake that most students make, and they don't do it well, and the examiner isn't impressed because they've misused the language, and that it'd be far more impressive if people use simple language to answer the question. So, fairly simple grammar, certainly simple vocabulary, aim for accuracy. So try to be accurate. You've got to be accurate, but simple language is fine, because that's what we normally do when we're speaking, is use simple language. If we're writing an essay, then we tend to use slightly more complex language for writing an essay. But in speech, we mostly use simple language. So try to keep your language simple, keep your vocabulary simple, keep your grammar relatively simple, although a little bit of variation is useful. But really the important thing is trying to keep it simple.
Okay.
So we'll keep working on it. Okay, so we've reached the end of our time for today, unfortunately. So if you found this IELTS class useful, informative, or entertaining, please give it a like, subscribe, and share with other people who you think might benefit from these live IELTS class videos using actual examination topics. Most of the students participating in these classes are now living their dream in English-speaking countries around the world. If you want classes with me, you can contact me on X, LinkedIn, MS Teams, or Viber. Details are given in the description below or on the About page for this channel. Thank you.